So one of the most innovative companies in AI, Department of Defense, kind of mini Palantir type of companies is what we're covering today. So make sure to tune in. Let's check out what is BigBear.AI covering not only the Department of Defense, the Air Force contracts that they're getting. You see them inside the airport. If you go to the airport, maybe at Denver International Airport, you walk through, they scan your face or something like that. This is technology that's processing millions of data points in AI fashion, and it's also a company that is not only in this Department of Defense tech space. They're also they have a partnership with Palantir, so it's quite an interesting look. There's a lot going on with this company. We've been covering it for a while, so make sure to like if you enjoy this video. I'll be covering it. I got to know what you guys like if you want to see more of Big Bear. So let's take a look at the trend. I know we covered this a couple weeks back. It's up 14%. We started covering back here around $2. At one point, it pushed up to about $4.50, sold down to $2.40, and then now it's recovering. It recovered up to, at one point today, up to $3.75 a share. So it's at $3.65, up 14% today. When we look at some of the drawings, I just want to show you guys these levels that we've kind of mapped out in the past. First, let's just identify this consistent trend. This is not showing signs of being, quote, pump and dump. I know a lot of people commented on the first few videos I made of this stock, and they said this is done. The insiders, they sold. It's done. It's gonna dump. But I wasn't even covering it because of the hype. I was actually covering it because of the tech, and I just realized that it had hype, and then the video started getting more views. But like, I wasn't covering it because I saw hype. I was covering it because I thought the tech was cool. And that's kind of what the stock is showing, is that it's not just all hype. We see it recover. It's starting to build this trend. And now there's a few things. So first thing we could see here, if we get down, let's just drop it to maybe a 1 hour. You can see the levels easier. There's this consistent trend going up, right? But then we got this resistance here. See resistance, you got support, and it validated that. It pushed up above. Then it broke out above this previous resistance here at 335. And now it pushed up to, this is a level, I drew these levels literally like 2 days ago. So I didn't just draw these, they were already here. This previous support that was acting as a resistance back here on the 18th, then again today acted as a resistance at 372. So we saw it get rejected a little bit today. And now it's kind of knocking on the door of 370. So if it breaks up above 370, the next level would be close to $4 a share, that previous resistance. And then, really sky's the limit. I guess there's a $4.50 resistance after that. But right now, it looks like a couple things. Long term, it could be a less stressful hold. You guys might not have as much stress. Short term, I don't know that I would buy BBAI right now. And the reason why, just on the technical side of this, just only looking at these technicals right in front of us, we can see that MACD is looking overextended, RSI is looking overextended. It's right at this resistance, and it did get a little bit rejected. And so it wouldn't be too crazy for us to see it sell back down here, what would be about 8% down to this previous resistance. And if it could bounce there and continue, and that's a really big bull case, and that could happen, and we could see it, I think regardless it's going to pull back a little bit here. But let's say that, it pulls back here and continues up. That's even a really big bull case. What we might see is that it would continue, that it could drop even further. And I'm not saying it will. It's a stock that you don't have to worry about probably in the long term. It looks a lot better. But on the short term, you could just look at this trend. If I draw a clear trend line on the resistance levels, and you guys can see this is a resistance. We obviously shot up to here at one point, but you also got this resistance level here. So it's kind of showing signs that if it's going to be a healthy, slow, consistent push up, and it's not going to be just massively explosive, which it could be, but let's just say that it's a healthy, consistently uptrending stock, we most likely would see it pull back a little bit here into later this week, and then potentially after pulling back to maybe it could be this retest on the EMA or down to here, then we would potentially see it continue up. But the good news is on the bull case, right, outside of that, could seeing it pull back, is that every time it's making these higher highs, these resistances, they're starting to act as support. And that's what you like to see in a stock that's really continuing to grow upwards. So that looks good. Technicals, aside from, waiting for a little bit of a better entry, if you're not in it already, we got some shares back here around 270 a share. And I know some of you guys got in earlier. Some of you guys are just getting in right now. Don't worry about it on the long term as much, I would say, but it could be riskier if you're saying, oh, I'm going to hold it for a couple days or just a couple weeks. Right now could be a more difficult entry, right? The nearer term you are, the more important your entry will be in any investment, right? So outside of the technicals, the Big Bear, there's one thing was concerning, one thing was looking good on Big Bear. Let's start with the concerning. So BigBear.AI stock financials. Okay, this is the part where I love that we are buying what could be, and I really like that. It's always nice to buy what could be, but at the same time, you also have to kind of look at how fast they're burning through cash and also look at their revenue and their income. The thing that concerns me is probably their profit margins and their net income. Their revenue, it's up 22% year over year. That's not as worrying, right? But their net profit margins are down 350% year over year. So net profit margins not looking too hot. Net income not looking too hot. But we've seen this story before, right? We've seen that with Nvidia. You saw that 20 years of Amazon stock, they weren't profitable, right? You could look at Palantir with the same. It's like this valuation's up here does it even make sense? And yes, if they're building for the future, there could be the valuation that prices in early before the stock really starts to increase in value. Same thing's true with any tech stock. So you have to consider that, but at the same time, just because that's true and you're buying what could be, at the same time, you also can't, you're not going to have a good time in the markets if you totally disregard that they're making a profit or that they're financially healthy. And right here, the financials they're not looking all that healthy. And so when you take that into consideration, you really want to know that the news and the chart are working very well in your favor, that your analysis of where they're going with the company and the partnerships that they're making are really outweighing some of that financial performance, right? So outside of that, it looks good. Cost of revenue is up again, so you just have to look at that. Cash on hand's down, but for what is a billion? What are they? They're just around $1 billion market cap. I think they're close to $1 billion. I think they're around 800 billion or 800 million. Sorry, that they have only a negative $12 million net income. I know that might sound like a lot, but it's actually that's not too bad when we've seen the AI companies, especially quantum computer companies, that, for example, they have a quantum computer, but they don't have a business model to plug it into. So they're going to be negative in the millions of dollars for a couple of years until they can plug it into a company. Like you have Rigetti, they were negative until they could plug it into Microsoft or until they could plug it into Amazon recently. So Rigetti is another quantum AI company that we see that play out, and this is an AI company that you could see that play out again, and it's a nice thing to look at. Okay, so financials, okay, they're all right. Chart looks good. I love how it's consistently uptrending, but want to get a better entry. When we get into some of the news on BigBear.AI, I really haven't seen anything bad. The only thing that was a little shook about it was, and this is not even really my concern, but that what people are telling me was, Will, a lot of insiders are selling. And sometimes that's good news, but also there's a lot of rules around that insiders, they can't sell just right away. They've had to put in notice for selling stock shares from pretty far out in advance. And so the timing might be a little weird, but I don't think it's anything you guys should be really raising a lot of flags on. And we didn't see a massive sell-off, just some insiders were selling off. So but still, it's a good thing to look at. Okay, but still, I mean, it's not a catalyst for a bear situation, I don't think. I mean, you could see that a lot of company like Alex Karp of Palantir sold a massive amount of shares right when Palantir was at like $60, and everybody's like, "Oh, is it the top?" And it's now pushed up to over $80 a share. So it happens. Big Bear AI, higher form of decision intelligence. You could see some of what they're working in: government and defense, travel and transportation, manufacturing, warehouse operations, healthcare, and life sciences. Let's take a look at some of the news that they just came out with. Big Bear and Proof Labs collaborate to develop a cyber resilience on orbit. Okay, I think this is their recent contract that is in the US Space Force. So they had an Air Force contract that was pretty large. I think it was 160 million, which is large for their small company. And on top of that, this was, I believe, US Space Force. Yes, US Air Force, US Space Force. And that's not crazy to see. They have a lot of contracts, the US Space Force. You could see a lot of companies. It's not uncommon if they're in the space industry to have US Space Force contracts. But this is great news because on top of that, they also have the on-demand. There was an article that came out that they got awarded the ability to have on-demand contracts given to them. So basically, they're right there, they're ready and standing by with the government to get any contracts from Department of Defense, National Security, and those are things that when you get a company gets in that position that they're right there, ready to help the government at any moment, and they sign a contract to be in that type of ecosystem or in that close relationship, then that's good news for the company as well. So the tech itself is promising. The industry is very promising. And the only thing I would say again is the financials are shaky, but the chart looks like it could pull back, and that could happen here. But overall, if we see it continue in the way that it's going, to see it get up to, I think there has been times where it's pushed to that $17 range. And this is part of the reason that we got so kind of skeptical is we've seen these pumps on Big Bear where it's pumped up and it's really sold off, and it's pumped up and it's really sold off. So approaching this whole run, we have been kind of more skeptical than other times, right? So we could see it sell off. I don't think it would be crazy to see it sell off down to that EMA. But I do think that they are also getting more traction for their tech that will be not just about the hype, but that could really play a longer term key role in their growth. So I'll keep you guys updated on Big Bear AI. And if you want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button. If I earned your like, definitely drop it down below. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. We've had some new subscribers recently. I think we gained like 1,000 the past week, which is amazing. I appreciate you all. And again, if you want to watch me trade live at Market Open on Thursday, make sure to check out StockMate. That's second link down below. And then also we just launched our AI stock trading system. If you want to take a look at that, it's free to go to the training. It is the first link in the description. And we just recently launched that this past 3 days, and it's only open for a limited time. So if you want to take a look, now would be the best time to simply just take a look at those links in the description. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.